Hey, great to have everybody here and for the Dream Team presentation and all that have come from other places to be a part of this. You are in for a treat. Just recently, Dr. Anton launched his own business, and it was a brilliant night. He's a great communicator. You're going to hear more about his background in a moment, but I think this is going to be really good for everyone to hear how he talks about this incredible opportunity, this incredible product, what it's done as a chiropractor and practitioner, his experience, and his really his revelation on it all. So you're in for a great night.
Oh, right, that's me. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much, Andrew and Vanessa. Thank you, everyone who's here live and online. And then obviously to all of you who are listening to the recording later, welcome. So what I want to go through in the next 20 minutes or so is really, what is it that we're actually talking about here with X39, this product? What's the company behind it? Who invented it? Kind of, and quite the sort of questions that I think, I would expect you to come with, like, what is it? How does it work? And then the bottom line that we always have is, what's the benefit for me? So I really want to go through all that. And then we'll also talk about how it's possible to share this, why I am involved with this awesome company as a brand partner. Like, why would I do that as a practitioner, but just as a person too? You certainly don't need to be a practitioner, that is for sure. So yeah, let's fire up the slides. Thanks, Vanessa. So the first question is, have you been patched? I just realized I don't have one. Oh, I've got one on my back. Whoops. So have you been patched? We're going to talk about this little what Lightwave phototherapy patch. And what it does is actually, how it elevates, activates, and regenerates your body and what that all means. So elevating your energy, activating the cells in your body and the regenerative aspects. So, but first we're going to start with, like, who invented this thing? So David Schmidt is an extraordinary man. He's the CEO and founder of the company, and it's this company, by the way, is over 20 years old. That's a very solid record for any company, and that was, by the way, a big part of why I came on board was that longevity. He has over 200 patents to his name. Now, I imagine if any of you thought, well, could I ever get a patent? You know that that's going to be tricky. To get 200 is mind-boggling. So it just shows he's a very lateral thinker, and he was, and he's constantly innovating. This company is a very innovative company. So scientist and inventor. He specializes, though, in age reversing and analyzing that. He got fascinated with that. In 2008, he focused his attention on stem cell research because the basis of any anti-aging or age reversal is actually all around stem cells. Now, most of us have heard about stem cells, but I'm going to be honest, even as a practitioner, it's not like you particularly study stem cells as a practitioner unless you're a cellular biologist, basically. But obviously, they're becoming a buzzword, and we're going to find out more of what the significance of that is. So he spent $4.5 million of his own money and 10 years researching this to come up with the X39. The name of the patch, by the way, is that it was the 39th iteration of the patch, like all the ways they were testing it until they got the one that actually produced the results they really wanted. So one of the things that really excited me, though, and certainly helped me get me on board, because as a practitioner I have to be very careful about what I ally myself with or get involved with. I also want to know, is it going to work for me personally? I'll be really honest, because I want to be able to walk the talk. It has to be totally congruent with my values and beliefs and my understanding of wellness and what I want to achieve, both for myself, my patients, my family and loved ones, and then how I could help more people with that. So the patent, so what the patent says here is that the beneficial effects of the phototherapy elevates copper peptide. So the bottom line of this patch is it actually sends a signal back into the body, and we'll explain a bit more about that in a moment, but it elevates GHKCU, which is a copper peptide. It's actually glycine, histidine, and lysine, if you want to get technical. And I know some people like to get technical, so there it is. It activates stem cells is the bottom line, and stem cells are what regenerate your body. But it also increases energy through activating the mitochondria in your cells, which are like the little Duracell batteries in there. It acts as an antioxidant. It reduces inflammation. So therefore, it helps to manage pain. There's improvement in stamina, elevation, and fundamentally collagen production, which is where we get the tone of our skin from, but also collagen affects every organ in the body. So, and this is all in the patent. I actually looked this patent up online on the US patent website because you can do that, and there it is. So this is very real, folks. So why stem cell activation? As I said, we've all heard about stem cells to some degree or another. Most of us have heard of it in terms of people, getting stem cell injections in their knees as a classic. It's to regenerate cartilage, which, by the way, is very expensive, and nobody actually guarantees any results with it for your 10 or 20,000 US dollars. They often say just come back in 6 months. Well, that's so. We want something that's a little bit more reliable than that. So stem cells make up every cell in your body for a start. But one of the things most of us aren't aware of, and I didn't particularly know these particular numbers, is that as we age, our stem cells, they don't disappear. They just become senescent, which means they go to sleep or become more dormant. So by age 30, we're already down to 50% activity in our stem cells. So which is why by 30, and as people go into their 30s, they actually start to notice things like it's slower recovery from injury, or by the late 30s, they are actually starting to notice those little lines creeping in around the face. All of that is a reflection of this reduction in stem cell activity. By 60, it's down to 10%. So we actually are really, really aware of all those issues by 60, many of us. And often people have quite chronic health conditions. I mean, that can happen at any age of life, to be honest. Um, but as we get older. Now, how does it work? So, firstly, it's a proprietary form of phototherapy. Proprietary just means that the intellectual property is owned by Lifewave. They invented it and they have the patent on it. But phototherapy just means light therapy. But where does this light come from? So firstly, there's these patented nanocrystal technology within the patch. Now, nano, just to break down that word very quickly, it just means microscopic effectively. So very tiny, wincy little crystals that are made up of sugars and amino acids. So they're actually organic. It's not like ground up quartz or anything like that. It's organic and very specific. It creates a lattice work within the patch. And that actually reflects the light back into your body that we are emanating. And if you wonder if you're emanating light, you are. You're emanating it from the infrared spectrum of the light spectrum. So when we put on light goggles, those night goggles, or you see those, films of people being looked at through the US Army or whatever, and they glow in the dark, that's because they're actually emitting light in the infrared spectrum. So just as the UV spectrum of the sun will stimulate vitamin D, these nanocrystals are stimulating the copper peptide. So the great thing about this, there's no drugs involved, there's no chemicals, there's no stimulants, there's actually nothing going into your body. It is non-transdermal, which means it's incredibly safe and it doesn't interfere with anything else that you might be doing. So if someone is on pharmaceuticals or that you're taking your supplements or whatever, this is just stimulating the body to endogenously, like within the body, produce more copper peptide, which it used to do when you were young, and it's not doing so much as you got older. So totally not invasive. Right, I love this slide because at the end of the day, it's what's in it for me. What is the bottom line? What are the benefits of doing this? Now, I'm going to speak partly to what I've experienced, but also just what I've also seen in my patients and friends and just people that I know. So number one, increased strength. So it actually, through this activation, particularly of the mitochondria, basically just strengthens the actual your cells at a cellular level, and it starts to transpose into people noticing increased strength, especially if they do something like go to the gym or an activity where they can measure that increase, like they can calibrate it to their own body. Very importantly, it reduces inflammation. Now, inflammation, you can have inflammation, and most people do in their body without knowing it. Okay, we all have a certain degree of systemic inflammation, which is the basis of actually all chronic disease, if you actually want to go into the background of that. Now, when inflammation's less under the surface, it just manifests as pain. So, I'm a chiropractor. I deal with a lot of musculoskeletal conditions. It's all inflammatory based. When someone comes in and says their low back hurts or this hurts, it's inflammation, either irritating a nerve, muscle, or ligament fundamentally. And my job is obviously to do corrections at that physical level. But what this is doing is actually helping reduce that inflammation so the body can heal faster. So increase stamina. So there's many athletes or just everyday people who notice the increase in their energy and their stamina, their ability to keep going. This is something I definitely notice. But I also want to start to emphasize here, this isn't going to happen in like 24 hours. Some aspects of this can, but for me, the strength and stamina was something that took more like 3 months before I actually began to really notice it. And then I keep noticing it. Energy and vitality. So many people, when I put them on, they say, just, let me know sort of what you're noticing. Often they'll notice the energy increase really sometimes very quickly, certainly over time, but so often that's quite quick. The other thing that people notice quickly, and this is definitely my story, was mental clarity. I noticed within 24 hours of putting this patch on, I thought, wow, I feel different. I feel a bit lighter and more positive. But I sort of thought it could be placebo, whatever. Well, I didn't. I thought give it time before I really make a judgment on that. And then it just kept increasing until one day, about a week later, I was at my laptop working and I was just plowing through my to-do list and I went, oh my God, like I don't know when I was last this focused. I think I might have actually had ADHD, but anyway, that's gone. So, and the important thing, 7 months later here on the patches, that's just absolutely unchanged. It just actually just locked in. So restored muscle and skeletal conditions. People see all sorts of results around that. We've got some stories coming up here. Improve sleep. This is a huge one for people. And it's certainly something that I can attest to here too. So improved sleep is just so vital for then all the other healing that goes on in your body. For me also, my dreams got particularly lucid and vivid. Once again, that had not changed at all in 7 months. And I just put down to that improved brain coherence, which we're going to touch on in a minute. And then finally, the number one reason to do this, improved skin appearance. I'm kind of kidding, guys, but let's face it, who doesn't want to look younger? And really, as we know, this is coming from the inside out. So it's not the superficiality of, yeah, it'd be nice to, look younger, but you can do that with AI on Instagram any day of the week. We want to do this authentically from the inside out in a way that's healthy. And I've certainly noticed it for myself. All the like the skin on my neck, I've had a skin tag fall off. People just noticed it actually. I started having people comment, and there's many other people who can attest to that. So, and skin and hair and nails. I've just had someone recently, she said, oh my God, my nails and hair are just going crazy. And this was only weeks into starting the patches. So we'll talk a few more stories in a moment. But okay, let's talk about the long-term results. Because, we all like kind of quick fixes, but this is not designed as a quick fix. This is about regenerative change in the body. Anything of value takes time. It also, there is a cumulative benefit that occurs over time, and I really want to emphasize that. Now, what happens actually very quickly, and all the research, and we can show you where to get that with the patches, the moment you put it on, it actually activates the copper peptide like very, very, very fast in your body. Literally within hours and within a week, it's all measurable in the blood. So that's how they test that. But it also switches on 4,000 genes, or it starts to get them to reset. That's a significant chunk of your genome. It's actually nearly 4,200 if you really want the number. Okay, so that's where things begin to change at all these different levels in the body. And your body has its own wisdom to decide what that looks and feels like or is going to activate in your body. One of the first things, though, your brain becomes more balanced. As I said, and that's something that I noticed, but it's actually probably one of the most common things I have reported back to me. I even had one of my long-standing 80-year-old patients, he's a very healthy guy, just, looks after himself. But for him, he said, I just feel like I've got the motivation of like a young man. Like all of a sudden, I don't put off to tomorrow what I can do today. One of the things that really drives me because I'm obviously a practitioner. I really care about people and I have people of all ages, is what it can do for people, for the elderly. Let's just say that. who so often are just written off as to, well, you're over whatever age, you know, you can expect it. And there's some extraordinary stories around that. So, so collagen increasing, it starts to happen over, as I said, we start to get to sort of say like 3 month heart age reversal. So by 6 months, there's measurable reversal of the age of your heart. I will take that any day of the week. So we're looking the around 8 years heart reversal in your age of your cardiovascular muscles, cardio muscles in 6 months. Now, coming back to the brain here. So we all this can sound a bit abstract. Yeah, you think more clearly, great. But what does that actually look like? Well, if we look at this topography of a 77-year-old woman, so there's a topographic, like this is a particular technology which can look at the inflammation in the brain. Session one, all the red is the inflammation. So this woman exhibited hyperactivity and it's all very scattered. Okay. After 3 weeks, only 3 weeks on X39, there was massively reduced brain inflammation, and she was exhibiting that brain coherence. And I'm just going to clarify what that is in a second. But by session three, so only 6 weeks in, so it's a complete turnaround and reduction in that brain, that inflammation and better brain coherence. Now, we keep saying that, but what does that actually mean? What it means is imagine as this inflammation goes down in your brain, all the hemispheres of your brain can talk to each other better. So it's a bit like everything now communicates better within your brain. And as a result, you get calmer, you can think more clearly, you respond to stress better. There's all of these extraordinary benefits which people actually notice in all sorts of manners. So how do we wear it? Well, it's incredibly simple. We just get this patch and we can just stick it either on the back of, if you feel the back of your neck and down, you feel a bump. That's the base of your neck, C7 as it happens to be. Just below that, we can stick the patch and then it ties into governing vessel, which is an acupuncture meridian. You don't even have to know that. Just stick it there. All the other places just below your belly button is another acupuncture meridian that has a global effect on the body. But to be frank, because it's reflecting the light back into your body, you can kind of wear it anywhere. You can also wear it where it hurts. So if someone has a sore shoulder, you can just stick it on the shoulder. But if you're just looking for that, just to get that global effect and systemic effect through the body, these are the recommended places, and it's where they did all their research. So that's what we go with. We wear it for 12 hours. So particularly the X39, because it tends to activate you, is a daytime patch. Stick it on in the morning, take it off before you go to bed, and then do it again the next day with a new patch. So you get it in a sleeve of 30 patches. So very quickly, we'll talk about these testimonials, and we're going to just talk a little bit about the company and then how you can get hold of this fantastic product or just even join the company. So we give people this tracker because we all forget things that get better. People forget pain very quickly, but also just the mental clarity, the quality of sleep. And so we track it on this tracker. It's a great way, as I say, to calibrate these changes over a 90-day period. So some of the testimonials. So all these, I've actually seen some videos of these people talking too. So you can see the décolletage there. That's something that I actually can attest to. Obviously, you don't have a before and after of me, but we've got one somewhere. Wound healing, very significant. Scars tend to soften and actually heal, which is quite extraordinary. The color coming back into people's hair, but I must say, I'm a bit blessed. My hair was already pretty good because I am over 60, but people have noticed the luster in my hair and it's got thicker again. So this is a great friend of ours, Sue. Did an extraordinary story. Vanessa, who's hosting here tonight, gave her a patch. She said, I've got a pain on my bum that won't go away. Her gluteal area, let's just call it this. But this was debilitating, couldn't sit because it was driving her nuts after 11 months. No one could help. She stuck the patch on. We call it a one patch wonder when this happens. Within 20 minutes, her pain went away. Honestly, these things happen. Not going to guarantee anything. We don't know who this is going to happen to. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't, you're going to get changes anyway. This is Martin. As you can see, we get that what we call the X39 glow. Okay. But also the story of his son is quite extraordinary too. And here, which was that his son has Asperger's and wasn't functioning brilliantly in life. he's actually able to effectively have a high functioning normal life. And this is the brain function again. We're seeing all these photos like scoliosis straightening up, wound healing from a snowboarding incident there, a skin that was at the end of a finger that was effectively had died from a poor kid who jammed it in a door, completely regrown after 2 months. This is the stem cell activity. Once you know what the human body is capable of doing, anything is possible. So where can you get more information? So we use this is it .info, which is a US-based site, fantastic site with all the research, the patents. It's also got testimonials on there, and it's also got an interview with the founder and other information on it. So you can go to this is it info. We also share testimonials too, and you can talk to the person who invited you. We've got a fantastic 4-minute video from people here in Australia if you want to sort of see some Australian stories. So this company is, as I said, over 20 years old, and for most of that period was around a $20 million a year company until they came up with this product. It is literally like inventing the smartphone, like Apple. It's a hit product, and you can see the numbers. It went from 20 million to 320 million in 1 year and is pushing nearly $1 billion in 2025. What's also fantastic is David Schmidt is a very methodical guy and has made sure the company can cope with what is that, nearly 50x growth in 5 years. Some companies just implode under that, whereas this company is just, as you can see, soared to #1 in momentum in the direct selling space. So very significantly, this was November last year. I actually looked up this site as well. It's just won the Stem Cell Innovation of the Year in 2025. So this is where the industry is recognizing, the biotech industry is recognizing this product. So one of the questions to ask here, because there is also not just the health, but actually the wealth aspect or the ability to actually generate income for yourself, even if it's just to pay for your patches. So what is important to you, like your health, which is a big part of your wealth, more time with your family, more financial security, in a very uncertain world that we live in. Being able to travel, being able to just pay off debt so you're not, they're not burdening you. All of these things are also available to you. We're just going to touch on that very briefly here. So this business model, so there's a conventional business and then there's the Lifewave business. So effectively as a chiropractor, I'm in a relatively conventional business, but luckily I don't have the staff of say hospitality or many other things. I just cannot do the maths on half those businesses. The fixed costs are enormous. The startup costs are enormous. Doing a fit out, all of those things, and if it fails, it just fails and you lose all the money. Whereas the Lifeway business has a very low startup cost, essentially no risk. There's even a 30-day money back guarantee on these, for heaven's sake. You can make your own schedule. You can do this in the little windows of your day where you have the time. We use a proven system and there is unlimited scalable earning potential. That is an extraordinary thing. But any business, ultimately the bottom line of any business is, are you solving a problem that people have or people certainly perceive and realize they have? Most people don't even know that their stem cells have become dormant, and many people are struggling financially. So Lifewave is offering solutions to this. Stem cell reactivation, which we've talked about, which is just fundamental to your longevity and your health. And also the opportunity for an income generating business to whatever level that you want to take that. The whole point of this is it's duplicatable. Now, I haven't said much about myself. I've been a chiropractor for over 30 years, but one of the things that attracts me to this is as a chiropractor, I can only help and serve people physically one-on-one. They have to get to me. They have to get to my location. So beyond, say, a 10 to 20 kilometer radius, things fall away. I've had 2 patients, one came in from the Gold Coast, one came in from Kangaroo Valley last Friday. But hey, you can't build your business on that, right? But they can get Lifewave anytime. And I already have people in, say, Israel on this. I'm talking to my relatives in the States about this. I can share this with people anywhere in the world and impact their health. So how do you get started? Okay, so firstly, we've got some different options. This is what the patch looks like. Okay, as I said, you really need to give this at least 6 months, certainly 3 to 6 months. The company and all their research says 1 month of wearing the patch for every 10 years you've been alive, just to begin that regenerative process. So for many of the people here on the line, that's, whatever, 4 to 6 months minimum, but we just see people continue to get more benefits. So you can enter with a core of 3 sleeves, and this will all save you money. This is at the wholesale price. So now you're partnering with the company to get the wholesale price. So yeah, for one person that works, but the advanced pack is 6 months worth. You start to get a significant discount. So fantastic for a couple, or if you want to start sharing, you're going to need patches. You can just stick a patch on people so they know what that is. Or if they start to order and you're with them locally, you can actually give them a month to get on with, and when their sleeves arrive, they just give you an unopened pack back. But if you want to start getting a little bit more serious with the business, or you've just got a bigger family, we've got the Advanced Plus. Once again, you start to get a significantly bigger discount. And then the premium for people who particularly have an entrepreneurial mindset, or you might just have a big family. You really want to help your parents and your children. You just want to get on with it and get the best discount you can. And at the same time, have sleeves ready to share with people. And it also fully qualifies you for every aspect of the business side of that. So there we go, folks. So if you've been invited by someone here, please get back to them, and they'll check in with you and just see, what you would like to do, how you'd like to move forward with this, with your health or with the business side, or both. So thanks very much for listening. Sorry that it was a little over 20 minutes, but I, hope you enjoyed the presentation.